What's up, guys? It's Fight Companion. I'm the Ginger.
And I'm the Bear.
And guys, I need you to smash that like button harder than I smashed my fucking vocal cords screaming at the Jon Jones-Reyes fight this weekend.
And all those fucking judges. What the fuck?
It was crazy, right? Like, I'm seeing so many different takes on this fight. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
So, first off, we watched the fight together.
Obviously.
Well,
it was, regardless of who do you think won or lost, it was a good fucking show out.
Yeah, take the judging out of it for a second and let's appreciate what both dudes brought to the octagon. Reyes, damn, man. That was such a better performance than I think we were or anybody else was giving him credit for. He went 5 rounds with Jon Jones.
But it was 5 rounds. This is something that he has never done before.
And sure, like, he was gassing and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was gassing. Like the way people used to use the word gassing. No, he was still offering offense. He was still defending himself. He was more tired than Jones.
Did he fade? Yes, but was he done? No.
No. It was like he was at 100%. Then by the end, he was like at 75.
Yeah.
So, and bro, he's a light heavyweight with a bouncing karate boxing, whatever you want to call it, style. Yeah. That's ludicrous. He's bouncing like 230 pounds up
the
and
amount
down.
of endurance you have to have in order to do that.
That specific style. I'm so impressed with Reyes. All the athleticism memes were real.
Well, yeah.
Don't let your memes be dreams. Like, that was wild. It was like everybody memed him into a Goku spirit bomb of athleticism through the fight. He looked stronger than Jones in the clinch.
Oh, yeah.
That was something I never expected to see. And the way, like, let's say what Reyes did
I
really
expected
well
to see it, but that's just...
that he was just physically stronger?
in the
really?
clinch, yeah.
I didn't expect that. He was able to use his pitch. His shoulder roll pitch
when he got
uppercut.
that uppercut.
That was really nice.
Oh, that was so cool.
He found a home for the left-hand counter against Jones. He did a great job actually doing... Alex said he thought he should move forward. I said I thought he should sit back, leg kick with Jones and try to catch him coming in. And neither of us thought in any fucking realm he'd be able to do both effectively, and he did. Like, he came forward, applied amazing pressure we've never seen him do before. I'm really impressed with Dominick Reyes. I'm so excited to see him fight any of the other top 5 light heavyweights in the division, including Jon Jones, in a rematch. I would rather not see in a rematch. That's just my personal preference.
I'd rather him see Thiago Santos, right?
Oh, that's so sexy. Oh, that's so sexy.
But
the leg kicks in that fight.
Here is what and we both agreed on this, right? We were both judging the fight as it was going, and round by round. We were going round by round. Same conclusion every single time.
So we did score the fight for Jon Jones.
Yes.
We had it 3 rounds for Jones, 2 rounds for Reyes, and now that we finished sucking off Reyes for everything amazing he did in the fight, we did think that he did deserve to lose the fight on the scorecards. We had...
Marginally. And before everybody clicks off because you're like, oh, you suck Jon Jones' dick. Also, look at all of our videos before. Anyway.
He loves Reyes. So Reyes they're from the same hometown.
So I scored, obviously, round 1 for Reyes. Round two, I did end up marginally. I probably gave a 10-9 to Jon Jones. But I can understand if somebody thought Reyes won number 2, right? So 2 was Jon Jones. 3 was all Reyes for me. I don't know why everybody's scoring it for Jon Jones. Definitely not. But 4 and 5 were handily Jon Jones.
Well, 1, 4, and 5, those were obvious, right? Like, 1 was obviously Reyes, and there's like no argument you can make that Jones won that round. 4 and 5 are the same way for Jones. Like, there's no argument in hell. 2 and 3, I think, were close enough that I can see other people scoring it differently than I did. And it's very interesting just seeing. I think a lot of the anger against the judges' decisions is I understand it, because like, I wouldn't have been angry if the fight was scored for Reyes because the 2 and 3 were close enough. I could see them going either way. I thought the right way to score the rounds were round 2 for Jones and round 3 for Reyes, and that's been interesting because it seems like most people actually disagree with that and think that 1 and 2 were obviously Reyes and 3 was a toss-up round.
And the simple fact can just be that we're idiots. So there's that too.
No, the simple fact is they're idiots and we're always right. But I think that there's something that Jones does very, 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 very consistently that leads to these things where fans get incredibly angry at the scorecards at his fights, and that's that his defense is incredibly hard to see unless you're really looking for it. And it took me like watching, I think, 4 to 5 fights of like his last 3 fights, because Jones has only started defending this way like relatively recently. But I've watched the Thiago Santos fight like 3 times. I've watched the Reyes Jones fight. We've only done it once now with some like highlights we specifically watched over and over again. And like, so I've seen New Jones, Neo Jones, whatever you want to call him, for I think like 50, 60 rounds now. I only started noticing it in the last watch through of the Thiago Santos fight.
And the main thing, just like in boxing, he rolls with the punches.
And it's almost, it reminds me of Mayweather a lot. Mm-hmm. He rolls and catches with punches that if you're not looking, I don't care if you're like a really good boxer or a really good fighter. It's like, it's not about knowing that it could happen. It's about specifically looking for it. So like, Jones will catch stuff on his shoulders, on his lats, on his elbows, on his forearm, on his guards, and he'll roll with stuff in such a way that it almost looks like that hit more vigorously.
Yeah.
There's a specific kick that Thiago Santos hit Jones with in round 1 of their fight.
And it was just his toe.
It was literally just his toe, but because Jones threw his leg in the same direction that Thiago Santos was kicking, he threw his leg so it looked like Thiago Santos was connecting, and it looked like Jones lost his balance and was wobbled. Yeah. But Jones only lost his balance because he threw his leg out of the reach of Santos's kick, and it became a non-significant strike.
And not to say that Reyes did not land any significant.
He did.
This is probably the most I've ever seen John's cracked.
And the best shots. Even considering like DC1 and DC2, and Gustafsson, frankly, I think Reyes hit Jones harder
than he's ever been
hit in the rounds that he won.
Yep.
I think that people are just thinking that Reyes landed shots in some of the flurries, because I would characterize the rounds as Jones putting on relatively consistent pressure with relatively consistent striking output in the rounds he won. In the rounds that Jones lost, he had almost no striking output.
Yep.
But it would be like Jones with consistent pressure, Jones with consistent striking output, and then Reyes would come in with flurries of like 4 to 5 to 6 strikes 2 to 3 times around. And those flurries did not hit for the most part.
No, and not, like I said, not saying that
there were hits. There were big hits.
But I think in this specific fight, CompuBox was wrong on a lot of them, because I think that they were judging shoulder hits, they were judging lat hits. They thought that maybe something got through that didn't get through.
Hits off the guard, they're judging those as significant strikes when those by definition are not significant strikes. Right. They're strikes landed, but they're not significant strikes because they're not targeting an actual strike zone that's considered in the rule set as a significant strike, which would be the body, which would be the legs and the head. You don't get points for hitting arms. Same way you don't get points in boxing for just tapping guards.
And we're just talking about the striking, right? Yeah. There was takedowns, and Texas is still under the old rules where takedowns, it's not what you do with the takedowns afterwards in the grappling exchange and all of that. Like the new rules have it, it's just the takedown, right?
The takedowns themselves are scored as almost like a significant power punch.
Yep.
Think of it that way. That's not the way the rule's written, but conceptually in the rule set, that's how it works. So when Jones lands those takedowns under the old rule sets, it's like getting one of those big strikes that Reyes hit for that round. Now, Jones
did he do anything with them?
No. So under the new rule set, the takedowns are irrelevant. And honestly, like, we were scoring according to the new rule set, and we still had Jones. But under the old rule set, which highly values takedowns and also actually uses like octagon control as a scoring criteria, not just as a tiebreaker if significant strikes and grappling are equal, that actually favors Jones even more. And that's why I think you're seeing people so outraged at a lot of the scoring and stuff like that. And understandably, we were just researching the new versus the old scoring set for like an hour. It is incredibly confusing, and it's hard to even find the information, which is just, it's like, so it's behind all these fucking websites that have interviews, that have interviews, that have interviews of interviews. MMA journalism just likes to recycle shit. It makes it hard to find. But Texas is under the old rule set. The old rule set favors octagon control, pressure, and takedowns.
Right.
That's why they changed it, because those shouldn't be the criteria.
It should be off of the grappling, off of trying to get submissions.
It's what do you actually do with the position. Then if what you've actually done in your striking and in your grappling is equal, then it goes to the fighter with octagon control as a tie-breaking measure in the new rule set. I'm incredibly glad about that, but you can't act like this was under the new rule set when it wasn't. And even if it was under the new rule set, which is how we were scoring it, we still had Jones winning 3 rounds to 2 rounds.
And some of you might be asking, why did Jones win?
Yeah,
right?
like
why technically, right? Because we explained how
why he won on the according to the rules, right?
and what Reyes was doing that was
awesome.
Was awesome. Right?
He's so fucking good.
So and Jones, we talked about how Reyes was expending energy because he has a very energy intensive fighting, right?
Yeah.
Jones was completely plotting, right? And that was probably why he was able to completely, I won't say dominate, but run away with rounds 4 and 5, right?
He was so economical in his movements.
Yes, exactly.
It was weird though, because like, I don't think of Jon Jones as plotting. He has flat feet, but it's almost like he slides, if that makes sense. Because he slides, and strangely, that goes back to like why I think people thought he was taking more damage sometimes than he was. He's very well balanced at all times, and that's how he's able to fling his body and almost do like a contortionist show in midst of flurries to get out of and to catch things incredibly strangely.
Also, something amazing. So there was that open position of the southpaw, right? So that he can land, Reyes could land a left hand. He actually, while he was doing that, Jon Jones still framed and still backed up, but then he changed his stance so that he's already protected from the left hand, which was really, really cool to see. Jones innovating his mid-game boxing and his defense for a southpaw.
So the issue is when you have a southpaw versus an orthodox matchup, you are open to taking a strike from their power side. And basically Jones has a tendency to back out of exchanges with his hands here, which leaves him open to getting hit on the power side of a southpaw. In the middle of the fight, he switched from backing out in orthodox, which leaves him vulnerable, to if he did try to back out, he would switch. So then he had a shoulder to catch that strike on, and it's just ludicrous.
Right, that was really awesome.
Ludicrous. I don't know if that was something his camp planned beforehand. If it was anybody else but Jones, it'd be like, damn, great job camp, great job coaches. But it's Jones, it's like, damn, he could have just come up with that.
His boxing looked way better, right? And maybe that was because of the monster of an opponent that he had.
And Thiago was, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, Thiago did a really good job exposing that weakness, and then he knew Reyes was coming in.
But also, I will say, I still think Thiago won against Jones. And I'm not counting just punches alone or anything like that, because I don't actually think he landed that many punches, but from the leg kicks, right? Wesley over here disagrees with me, but
it's a really hard fight to score. Thiago versus Jones is incredibly difficult because of what we just said, where it's hard to tell what actually lands against Jones.
Yep.
It was really interesting though watching this fight, because I thought, like you said, Thiago, I can see like Thiago could have had the volume, and he was throwing so much that it's almost like, okay, well, he threw 60, 80 strikes around. Yep. Sure, Jones missed a lot of them, but he still had Jones on volume even after all that was considered.
Thiago never stopped throwing.
Yeah.
We can say for certain Reyes stopped throwing at rounds 4 and 5, and he started petering out, I think, at the end of each round at 2 and 3.
Same. So I would characterize rounds 2 and 3 as Reyes usually winning the first minute to minute 30 of the fight, and then he wasn't throwing volume from that point forward. He'd still try to counter, and that's not to discount Reyes in any way. Like, he was still an active game opponent, but he just was tired.
The volume wasn't there.
He was tired, and Reyes has never been a volume striker. So then Jones would take over from that point forward, and it was almost like, to use another sports metaphor, it was like a football team got a couple early touchdowns, but then the other team would come back and would score like 3 touchdowns. So yeah, it was still a tight round, but the other team would score 3 touchdowns, the other opponent's 2 touchdowns. And even to take it and make it more complicated, Reyes would usually have the best highlight from the round.
Yep.
So like, Reyes would have the best highlight, and then Jones would have the highlights from like number 2 to number 10. Yeah. So then when you look at, like, if you're really hyped, you're just excited watching the fight, and you're not like minimally, like, nerdily, looking at like, okay, what technique is that?
Who was scoring more?
Who was scoring more?
And which leads to a good point in football, in basketball, in soccer. the scores are always on the board. And you know what? That's going to be our next video. You guys stay tuned whether or not MMA should have the scoreboard.
Open scoring.
Yeah,
should
essentially.
Should the judges and basically, like, should there be a monitor, a scoreboard like there's a basketball that says how each judge has the fight so fighters can react accordingly?
And Reyes specifically said, I thought I won 1 through 3, right? So that would indicate he recognized he lost 4 and 5, right?
And I think that's and honestly, technique and everything aside, I think that's what lost Reyes the fight. Because I'll say, when you're in an extreme physical situation like that, it's not actually your body first that governs what you can and can't do and your activity level. It's actually your mind first. So because Reyes thought he won rounds 1, 2, and 3, I don't think he had... Not the mental toughness. It's not the mental toughness. I just don't think he was in the right headspace to push through feeling damn exhausted in the 4th and 5th rounds. And that's nothing against Dominick Reyes. I think this is just him not having, frankly, the experience in 5-round fights.
It's first time.
It's his first time. It's his first time having a championship fight. He's also not a decision fighter.
Oh no, not championship. He actually went the distance of a 5-round.
He's never been in a 5-round fight, but he's never been into rounds 4 and 5 in a fight. He's never been a decision-based fighter, and I think that because of that, he's never had to worry so much about, okay, do I want to think about what rounds I've won? Should I do that? And I think fighters make a mistake all the fucking time when they try to actually score the fight as they're fighting. You cannot, if you're just getting tired, your thoughts are not rational. If you're getting tired and punched in the head and hurt, your thoughts are even less rational. Fighters should never try to score fights as they're going.
Right.
They should, and their corners should not try to do that either. If Reyes hadn't thought he had won rounds 2 or rounds 3,
would he have shown up for 4 and 5?
Would he have just done a little? Would he have just had that extra little click, that little umph? And I think Reyes going forward, I hope his team, I hope everybody around him is just like, look, bro, you can't score fights while you're going. Think about if you had, who cares if you run rounds 1 to 3? If you ran either round 4 or 5, you got it. And I think that's why Jones is the champion that he is because no matter what, he always tries to steal rounds. He always goes hard in the last 30 seconds of rounds, in the last minute of rounds, let's say. He always tries to steal fights. In round 5, even if he thinks he could have gotten 3 rounds, he always fucking tries to get round 5. You see this in every single fight of his. And that's why, like, Jones is... Jones. That's why he's a seminal, greatest of all time contender. And I think Reyes could get there. And I think it's almost just a shame that he's never had that 4 or 5 decision experience to think in that way. Because I hope, and I think he has a ton of potential going forward. And I hope that this fight changes sort of how he thinks about it. Because you can't play that game when you don't know the scorecard. You can't be like, oh, I got it. You can only do that. And I think that this is where, like, him being an athlete, not a fighter, becomes a problem.
Comes into play.
Because he's so used to being a scorecard. It's like in a sports, normal sports, you see that you're ahead on the clock, run it out. And that's what I think he was trying to run the clock out on Jones. And
which is a dangerous thing to do in MMA.
You can't. You just can't do it in MMA because you're getting hit in the head and you're only guessing what the score is. You can't run out the clock when you don't know that you're actually winning. But guys, we're gonna break down everything wrong with the scoring system and if there actually should be open
scoring system, because that would be super controversial.
That would be really fun. And we love you guys. Let us know in the comments down below how you scored the fight round by round.
Let us know where we're wrong. Let us know what like Lee said, round by round.
Tell us how you scored it. Because again, we had Jones 2, 4, 5, Reyes 1, 3. So tell us what you think, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace out.